Hi WellChild families, today I'm going to be showing you two different knitting stitches, the knit stitch and the purl stitch. I'm going to begin by casting on. This is a method where you basically wind your wool around your knitting needles so that you can get started with the fun stuff. Okay, all you're going to need is a set of knitting needles, and it doesn't matter how thick they are to begin with. So I've got a range of sizes here. You might have wooden ones or bamboo. Again, doesn't really matter. I actually began knitting with a drumstick and a paintbrush because my friend was teaching me at school, and that's the only access we had, the only materials we had. So yeah, so you can use whatever you like as long as they're shaped like sticks. And you'll also need wool. So this is a chunky wool. It's a super chunky. And it just makes it a lot more visible for you to see what you're doing. When you've got finer wools, such as this, it makes it really, really fiddly and quite tricky. You know, when you're starting out, it's probably best that you do use a chunky wool. If you have only got access to the thinner wools, then I'd recommend using 2 balls of wool and just putting the two together. So here, I'm going to get my other wool and just put them together like this. And this is the wool that I'm going to be using today. So just in case you wonder why there's 2 strands hanging down, it's because I've put 2 chunky wools together to make it super, super chunky. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, so first what you have to do is you get your wool, and all you need to do is go around like a loop, like this, and come through the loop with the remaining bit. And I always just grab the end of the rope just so it doesn't come all the way through. And then you get a little slip knot like this. Okay, so then I attach that onto one of my needles and just tighten it slightly so it's nice and snug, not too tight, otherwise you won't be able to get the other needle underneath. So this is what it should look like. Then first you have to cast on. So how I do that is I make a little water pistol with my finger and I bring the wool round and point it away. And then using this other needle, I slip it behind. And then I just grab the wool and pull. Let's show you again. So pull the wool towards you and point it away and bring your needle into the back of the wool like that, and you keep going until you've got the length that you desire. Okay, so this is the first thing that you will do. This is called casting on, and over time you'll start to pick up the speed and it just becomes like that. It's really good to try and keep all of the loops consistent down the needle. Once you've cast on the length that you need for whatever you're knitting, you're then going to place that needle with all of the cast on stitches into your left hand. Then you'll see I have all these loops down my original needle, and I'm just going to loosen that slightly so you can see properly. But I'm going to now place the other needle through the back of that. So I form a cross and my needle that I've just put in goes to the back. I'm then going to get my wool, go round the back and through the middle of the 2 crossed needles, and then pull that down and bring the point of my needle through the front, and I slide that off and I can tighten that. I'll show you again. So I bring my needle under and round the back of the wool, and I bring this loose wool around the back so it's in between the 2, and then out through the front and off the needle. Same again, under, so it comes through the wool, that loop, round with the loose wool, and then pull that so it comes down into that gap there, and then you slide it off. I'll show you again. Down Sometimes it can get a bit fiddly. Round with the wool, through the front, and slide it off. Sometimes you will need to move the cast on stitches further up the needle just so it's easier and you're not having to constantly stretch your wool, otherwise it will change the pattern that you're going for. So under and through the loop, so the needle's at the back, round with the wool, and then bring that needle to the front. Once you have done the knit stitch along the whole of your cast on stitches, all of your stitches will now be on the right hand side, so the right needle that you just brought into the pattern. So you'll see on this side, it looks like little knots. These are actually called pearls. And on this side, this is your knit stitch. So it's slightly different, but as you go through and you do a little bit more, you'll be able to see the difference in the pattern. So I'm now going to show you the purl stitch. So all of my wool is now on my left hand side, and again I'm using the other needle now to work from the right. So this time, instead of going up and towards the back, which we did last time, we're now going to go back from the back to the front. So I come through the back of the loop and place it forwards, and I get my loose wool and I go straight down the valley. So you'll see a little V here, like a valley. You go out towards the back of the valley and round to the left, and then you bring your needle, but you go towards the back this time. So it's exactly the same, but the opposite way. So you come from the back through to the front, you bring your wool through the valley into the left, and then slide your knitting needle towards the back. And again, through the front, push your wool through the valley to the left, slide your needle to the back, and drag the wool off. I'm just going to keep going, so through the valley to the left, and then push your needle out. Again, it gets fiddly, so what I do is just hold the wool on the needle, and then from the back to the front, through the valley to the left, slide it to the back and off. And over time you'll pick up speed, and sometimes you still can get in a little bit of a mess, but you've just got to take care. So you keep going all the way through the valley to the left, out the back, like that. And you keep all the way to the end of the row, and then it will just drop off the stick. So then I just tend to make sure it's all nice in a nice line, like that. So you'll see now, I've now got 2 rows of those little knots that I told you about called pearls on that side, and on this side, you can see a bit better now. This is your knit stitch. And eventually over time, if you carry on with that, you'll have this pattern. This is the knit pattern, the first stitch I told you about when you go towards the back. And on the other side, you've got the purl pattern. So all those little knots will form a pattern just like this.